Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight's program. And we will start tonight's program with the recitation of the Holy Quran. And for that, I'd like to invite our young brother, Brother Mohsen Ladak, to recite the Holy Quran. So please welcome him with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا إن ناشئة الليل هي أشد وطئا أقوم قيلا إن لك في النهار سبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا رب المشرق ومغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وكيلا واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajihum. Thank you, Brother Mohsen Ladak, for that beautiful recitation. I wanted to welcome every Momin and Mominat to tonight's program. Tonight's program is the 7th lecture in the series of lectures of Adab Salat, the discipline of prayers from the famous book of Imam Khomeini. Before I continue on with this program, I'd like to make a quick announcement. Momineen, tomorrow, Saturday, February 27th, we will be having a program online for the martyrdom anniversary of Bibi Zainab alayhi salam. At 7:30 p.m., the program will start with the recitation of the Holy Quran, followed by Marsiya Khani at 8 p.m. And then we will have the speech by Maulana Sayyid Muhammad Askari after that. Also, another quick announcement is a reminder for everyone that after each one of our programs for the Adab Salat lectures, we will be having a Q&A. So if you have any questions at all, please post them on the YouTube link on the comment section where you're streaming this live footage. On the comment section, please paste your questions and any question that you have for Maulana that we can ask in the Q&A. And if you don't feel comfortable typing it, you could also text my number at 214-600-6953 if you want it to be anonymous or not want your name to be there. So it looks like Maulana has not joined yet, so we're going to wait a couple of more minutes until Maulana joins. So Maulana has joined us. So without further ado, I'd like to invite our esteemed, most beloved scholar, Maulana Hayder Shirazi, for another amazing lecture on Adab Salat, and I want everyone to please welcome him with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajihum.
Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Maulana, I love the blue and the white. It looks amazing.
Is that part of Majlis?
No. I just wanted to say it.
Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
It is the night of the 15th of this sacred month, and it is a very important night and special for especially those who are after spiritual uplift. And there are prayers for tonight, du'as for tonight, and it's a night of Tawbah, Inaba, returning to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and to get ourselves forgiven. Also, the days are related to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, and I'd like to talk a little bit on the Fada'il of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, but then from the angle of the enemy's side. Now, we have heard so many ayat, riwayat, the sayings of Rasulullah regarding Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now, on the contrary, we do have the enemies as well who spoke loud about Amir al-Mu'mineen. You must have heard when we recite the Masa'ib of Ali Akbar alayhi salam in one of the meetings with Muawiyah and his men. Muawiyah says to his men that who will be the best candidate for this kingdom of mine, my best successor after me. Now, those who were around him, they were all people cunning, flattering, praising Muawiyah every now and then. So they said, who would be better than you? You are the best. No one better than you. We pray for your long age, etc., etc. He says, no, I take away that bay'at, that allegiance that is on your neck, and I won't do you no harm. You can tell me blunt, whoever is the best candidate. Then some of them, they said, Yazid will be the best after you. He says, no. So everyone said something, but the maximum they went to was Yazid. Then Muawiyah says, the best candidate for this rule of mine and my successor would be Ali Akbar alayhi salam. He's got the grace of the Hashemite. He's got the charm of the Bani Umayyah and the generosity of the Alawis of Amir al-Mu'mineen, etc. And all that bravery is that there's no one befitting to this rule more than Ali Akbar alayhi salam. So although he is that band A, the staunchest of the enemies of Amir al-Mu'mineen and his sons, but when they spoke about them, they spoke loud in their own meetings. They had that hatred also. Now the ones before Muawiyah, they were hypocrites. But this Muawiyah, he openly did bad to Amir al-Mu'mineen. All those pulpits that were raised against Amir al-Mu'mineen was in the rules of Muawiyah, that it was abandoned, that no one was allowed to talk positive or any virtues and fadilat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. Now, one of those culprits, one of those cunning figures that we'd like to talk about a little bit tonight, it's Amr ibn As bin Wa'il Sahmi. He is one of those very opportunistic and cunning figures in the rule of Muawiyah. Now, prior to him, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his wife is Nabigha, a very negative woman. Now, she is the first one when Abul Qasim, the son of Rasulullah, he passed away. She, with her husband, were the first ones who tagged and named Rasulullah as Abtar. Abtar means someone who doesn't have a continuation, a generation, or a posterity. She was the first one who gave that bad name to Rasulullah, but then Allah, in support of his Habib, said, Inna shani'aka huwal abtar. Indeed, your enemy is Abtar. Now this Amr ibn As was known for his cunning during the Khilafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam as a strong arm of Muawiyah. He fought Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Battle of Siffin. Now, even in the Hakamiyyat that took place during the arbitration, he, by deceiving the naive Abu Musa Ash'ari, he appointed him as the judge. And they told him in their private meetings that there is so much of disunity and ikhtilaf in the nation of Rasulullah. And this ikhtilaf can be put aside if you come and we'll appoint you as the Qazi. We can have this disunity removed by removing Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam from his station, from his office. Abu Musa, this naive or this, you can say stupid or idiot, he comes and he gives out that ruling against Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, and this Abu As bin Amr As, he was the person designing everything behind the scenes. Now he comes and he appoints Muawiyah in the place of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he takes away Amir al-Mu'mineen from his office. This Amr As, La'natullah alayh, was later given the emirate or the rule of Misr, and he dies at the age of 90 in the year 43 after Hijrah. So he did a great service to Muawiyah, and later a lot of services he provided to Muawiyah. Now in one of these meetings, when there was a dispute between the two of them, between Muawiyah and Amr As, Amr As says that now his father and himself also, he had a big qasida, 70 phrases of a poem against Rasulullah, and he had educated that to the children of Mecca to come and recite that in the presence of Rasulullah and mock him, hurt him, tease him by these poems that were recited before the Prophet. The Prophet also got upset with and then he complains to Allah, says, God, with all this poetry and this name that they are giving me as a sha'ir, as a poet, and I cannot retaliate them with this filth that they are pumping and promoting against me. There again, Allah in His support says, so many ayat were revealed, and in one of those quotes says that for every letter of the poems that were written against you by this mal'oon, 1,000 curses of Allah will be for him. Now he had taught those poems to the children to come and recite them, sing them before the Prophet. And that's how Allah supported. Now when he said abtar, Allah says, Inna shani'aka huwal abtar. When he comes up with all this poetry, Allah says that you are not a poet, and poetry also was not taught to you. Now this Amr As, in this dispute with Muawiyah, he says that it was me, Muawiyah, that appointed you as the Khalifa and took away Ali alayhi salam from the office. And if you make a mess, if you make noise, if you mess with me, I've got these jingles, these bells in my neck. I'm going to ring them and tell everyone who you are and who Ali was. And I will inform everyone, and I can do that just as I did and appointed you and brought you into the office. I can easily remove you from the office as well. He was a poet, and he wrote a poetry, and this whole thing was written in a poem form. And then Allama Amini, the author of Al-Ghadir, he has recorded this, and it has been recorded as the Qasida Jaljaliya. Jaljali in Arabic means the bells that you have in your neck. Junjuna jise kehte hain, or sometimes zangule in Farsi, junjuna, bells, whatever you can call them. He says, Muawiyah, you make a mess, any move, I'm going to ring these bells and I'm going to announce everyone who you are. Now this qasida he has, it's beautiful in this way that how they have spoken loud about Amirul Mu'mineen and how they have condemned one another. Says Muawiyatul Hal, La tajhali, wa an subul al-haqq la ta'dali. نسيت احتيالي في جلق علي أهلها يوم لبس الحلي. Says that Muawiyah, don't forget what happened and how, and don't move away from the right. And don't forget what I did and how I removed Ali from his office and how I made you wear this attire of this royal attire. خلعت الخلافة من حيدر كخلع النعال من الأرجل. Says, I took away the Khilafah from Haydar, just like you take away your footwear from your feet. وألبستها فيك يا ابن اللئام كلبس الخواتيم بالأمل. Says, O son of this, La'am means La'im, cursed. O son of the accursed, I put that ring in your hand, just right. I gave that Khilafat to you just like one wears a ring in his hand. ولولا ولولا كنت كمثل النساء ضعاف الخروج من المنزل. Says Muawiyah, if it wasn't for me, that you would have been like women who are shy to get out of their houses. You also would never be able to come out of your house. نصرناك من جهلنا يا ابن هند على النبأ الأعظم الأفضل. We helped you, O son of Hind. And against who? Against that great event, that great news. أَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَأِ الْعَظِيمِ, that Quran says. And says, وَحَيْثُ رَفَعْنَاكَ فَوْقَ الرُّؤُوسِ نَزَلْنَا إِلَىٰ أَسْفَلِ الْأَسْفَلِ. Says, just like that, that we see that how lofty and exalted we've become, you and me. In reality, نَزَلْنَا إِلَىٰ أَسْفَلِ الْأَسْفَلِ. We have demoted, descended to the worst of the descensions. وَإِنَّا وَمَا كَانَ مِنْ فِعْلِنَا لَفِي النَّارِ فِي الدَّرْكِ الْأَسْفَلِ. And with what we have done, we know for sure that we are going to be in the fire, and in the lowest level of that fire, the dark al-asfal is going to be our rank. Then he says, وَكَمْ قَدْ سَمِعْنَا مِنَ الْمُصْطَفَى وَصَايَا الْمُخَصَّصَةً فِي عَلِي. How much did we not hear from Mustafa? All those advices, specially lauding and praising and about Ali. وفي يوم خم رقى منبرا يبلغ والركب لم يرحل. Says, we all saw that on that Khum in Ghadir, he ascended that pulpit, that member. He propagated, he announced to everyone, and everyone heard. And then says, فبخبخ شيخك لما رأى عرى أقد حيدر لم تخلدي. Says, and even that Shaykh of yours, that is that first Khalifa, he went and he said, Bakhin to Amirul Mu'mineen, that you are now our Mawla and the Mawla of everyone. Says, even that Shaykh of yours, he also, do you remember? And then says, وَأَنَّ عَلِيًّا غَدًا خَصْمُنَا وَيَعْتَزُّ بِاللَّهِ وَالْمُرْسَلِ. Says, tomorrow, Ali is going to be our enemy. And his support is going to be the support of God and his messenger, that is Rasulullah. And then this Amr As says to Muawiyah, فَمَا عُذْرُنَا يَوْمَ كَشْفَ الْغِطَى لَكَ الْوَيْلُ مِنْهُ غَدًا ثُمَّ لِي. Tomorrow when the veils will be removed and everyone will know the reality and the haqa'iq, woe unto you and it's going to be unto me. فَإِنْ كَانَ بَيْنَكُمَا نِسْبَةٌ فَأَيْنَ الْحُسَى مِنَ الْمِنْجَلِ. Says that if this is going to happen, then what's going to happen of us? And then he says regarding Amirul Mu'mineen, وَأَيْنَ الْحِسَى مِنَ النَّجْمِ السَّمَاءِ وَأَيْنَ مُعَاوِيَةُ مِنْ عَلِي. Says, you want to compare yourself with Ali? You know the shining stars in the sky, how high, how lofty, how great they are. Can you compare those stars with the pebbles and stones on earth? Cannot be compared. Says, and how can you, Muawiyah, compare yourself with Ali? وقولي لهم إن فرض الصلاة بغير وجودك لم تقبلي. Muawiyah, don't forget it was me who announced, who promoted you, who said to the people that prayers without Muawiyah are not accepted. If you want your prayers to be accepted, they have to be in the wilayat and in the service of Muawiyah. If you don't, it was me who hyped you. It was me who gave you that rank. It was me who put you in the office. It was me who promoted you. I mean, it wasn't my word in Farda Salat that comparing and bringing you with the prayers. بِغَيْرِ وُجُودِكَ لَمْ تَقْبَلِي. It was me who said that it was prayers will never be accepted without Muawiyah. And also, then when he wants to talk about Muawiyah says, وَجَهْلُكَ فِي يَبْنَ آكِلَةِ الْكُبُودِ لَأَعْظَمُ مَبْتَلِي. Says also, you, O son of the one who ate the liver, Akilatil Kubud. Akilatil Akbad, we do have this sentence in Ziyarat Ashura as well. When it comes to Muawiyah, that is Akilatil Akbad. Because Hind, she tasted the liver of Hazrat Hamza, Khayru Shuhada, says, O son of the woman who tasted the liver, لَأَعْظَمَ مَبْتَلَى, and you are going to be punished and very severe. فلولا موازرتي لم تطع ولولا وجودي لم تقبلي. If it wasn't me, no one would have been obedient to you. If it wasn't me, no one would have accepted you. ولولا كنت كمثل النساء ضعاف الخروج من المنزل. You would have been like women who are shy and ashamed to get out of their homes. Now, these are the sayings of the banned enemies of Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, that how loud they knew that who Amirul Mu'mineen is, the greatness of Amirul Mu'mineen, and what his rank and his station is. That was a little bit about the enemies' opinions regarding Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, once Rasulullah, he performed a sajda, and an amazing sajda. Ibn Abbas reports this hadith. Says that one day Rasulullah, he comes to the house, and in that house is Amir al-Mu'mineen, Hazrat Fatima, Hassanain are all present, and some of the wives of Rasulullah, they are also present. Rasulullah says, can I have some water? Some water was given to Rasulullah. He drank from it, and then he gave the cup to Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam. Imam Mujtaba also drank from that water, and then Rasulullah looks at Imam Mujtaba and says, Hani and lak, and he enjoy it. He gives the cup to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein also takes the cup, drinks from that water, and then Rasulullah looks at Abu Abdullah, says, Hani and lak, Hani and Mari'a. Ya Abu Abdullah, enjoy it. Now, I don't know the best translation of this Hani and Maria. In Farsi and Urdu, you can say something like Guwara Wujud and Guwarabad, etc. But in English, I don't know what can be the best applicable of this Hani and Maria. The nearest that we can think of is enjoy it. Then he gives the Imam Abu Abdullah al-Hussein drinks, and then gives the cup to Hazrat Fatima, Salamullah alayha. She takes the cup, she drinks from it, and then Rasulullah says the same to her, enjoy it. In addition to that, says, mother of the noble, Zahra the pure, enjoy this drink. She gives the cup to Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. He drinks from it, and upon that, when Amirul Mu'mineen has drunk that water from that cup, Rasulullah says, Hani am Mari'a, Ya Waliyi wa Hujjati ala khalqi, and then bows down in sajda. Sajda shukr, a long sajda. One of the wives of Rasulullah says, Ya Rasulullah, what was the difference in this attitude and this seerah of yours? To all the others, you said Hani am Mari'a, enjoy it, and you were okay with it. But when it comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen, you repeated it so many times and you bowed down in sajda. There he says that when I gave the cup to the other members and they drank from it, I saw Jibreel say, Hani Maria, Hani Maria. But when Ali drank from it, there I heard the Almighty say, Ha Hani Maria, Ya Wali wa Hujjati Ali ala khalqi. And upon that thanksgiving and gratitude to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, that such a lofty rank and station this Ali of mine has, I bowed down in sajda. That is that station of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, before Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam and the Almighty Allah. Now, in one of these other riwayat, we do have that one day Aisha, she was in search of Amir al-Mu'mineen, of Rasulullah, and he couldn't find her. Says, I looked into all of these chambers, never in none of them was he found, and I heard him from the rooftop. And then I come and follow and go up and see that he is in the state between ruku and sajda with his knees uncovered, and he has his hands raised towards the sky and he's supplicating. Now, knees uncovered in even in this the Salat Ja'far Tayyar, the lengthy version, and especially in these 3 nights, 3 days, Salat Ja'far Tayyar is, especially in these days, Ayatollah Khamenei, he recommended that everyone recites it, especially now these days when the i'tikaf is not taking place, to do these Salat Ja'far Tayyar in these 3 days and 3 nights. In that Salat Ja'far Tayyar, we do have that in the longer version that you uncover your knees and then you put your knees on the ground and you supplicate and you ask Allah for what you want. She says, I saw Rasulullah in such a status with his hands raised towards the skies, knees uncovered, supplicating to Allah, saying, Ilahi bi'ali, bi'ali, bi'ali. I said to the Prophet, what is it that you are seeking the name of Ali and your hands are raised in dua? The Prophet replied that I had a wish, a hajat, and I wanted that to be granted. And I said, I'll seek it with the mediation of someone who is the closest and the best and the greatest before the Almighty Allah. Says, I scanned the skies, looked into the skies, did not find anyone better than Ali. I looked into the earth, I scanned the earth, never found anyone better than Ali. So I said, Ilahi bihaqqi Ali, bihaqqi Ali, bihaqqi Ali. Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. He is indeed the first oppressed with all this lofty station that he has, all these statements that we have, ayat of Quran, all of them. Now, from among the Sunni authors, they say about 300 ayat in Quran, they are exclusively only for Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam, with no one a sharik in those ayat. Sometimes this question is asked that why is the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen not mentioned in the Quran? Now, not without him being mentioned in Quran, there is so much of hatred and animosity against him. And if the name was mentioned in the Quran, they would have just distorted and changed and burnt it away. That name of Amir al-Mu'mineen was difficult for those people to handle, to bear. The adl, the justice of Amir al-Mu'mineen was tough for them to handle. Now, when we look into the beauty of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the topic that we have, it's the discipline and the Adab Salat and how much of an importance this Amir al-Mu'mineen gives to Salat. Now, when he writes this hukm or the appointment letter to Malik Ashtar and sends him to Egypt, now the instructions given to Malik are that وَجْعَلْ أَفْضَلَ أَوْقَاتِكَ لِلصَّلَاةِ Malik, the best of your times you should give to prayers. Worth and value is due to prayers. Out of that busy schedule that you will have, the best timings of that, you will have to take it out, and that should be to install prayers, to offer prayers, to establish prayers, importance to prayers. Further says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ جَمِيعَ أَعْمَالِكَ تَبَعٌ لِصَلَاتِكَ. That is, all of your actions, they are second. They come after your prayers. So all of them, they will be measured and judged and looked how your prayers were, and then these actions. And in that hadith that we have, I think from Holy Prophet or Imam Rida alayhi salam, there says that you cannot measure anything with salat. That is the best of actions, best of deeds. You compare salat to, for example, fast. Salat is foremost. With Hajj, salat is foremost. With everything you compare salat prayers will be the first. So invitation in practice is by salat. And Amr bil Ma'ruf, and the best of Ma'ruf is salat, prayers. And this can be by inviting in words or in practice. And then we see that how much of an importance Amir al-Mu'mineen gave to prayers. Now, this Muawiyah, who is this band A enemy of Amir al-Mu'mineen, he had in his version, in his brand of Islam that he was promoting in Sham, in that Amir al-Mu'mineen had no place in his version of Islam. And he had taught people that Ali doesn't offer prayers. And then he never taught them, educated them who Imam Hassan and Hussein are. People were raised and educated such that they thought that Muawiyah is from the descendants of the Prophet. And when people were asked about Ali and Fatima, they did not know. That was what he had taught to the people in his brand and in his version of Islam. And then when they found out that Amir al-Mu'mineen has been killed and in a mosque, they were shocked. They would say, hey, Ali also used to offer prayers. That was the media of Muawiyah. One of the things we have to bring into our minds, especially in these days and occasions that we have, Amir al-Mu'mineen's birthday is on the 13th of Rajab, and it is also known as the Father's Day, which is good. The priority and the importance of the day is because of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Father's Day, respect to fathers and all that, that's secondary. First priority is Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now, we have to give emphasis to that, because when children start to learn and they start saying that it's Father's Day, why also has to be taught to them. Otherwise, in a few years' time, or the next generation that would come, they would say it's Father's Day, but why it's Father's Day, they wouldn't know. So importance and emphasis has to be given to Amirul Mu'mineen first. Mother's Day, also the Hazrat Zahra Salamullah alayha, she is the cause and the reason for that name, for that day to be named as the Mother's Day. So that emphasis has to be there. Importance must be given to the Ahlul Bayt first. And when we want to address Amirul Mu'mineen, it should be with his title, Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. Just saying Imam Ali, that is, it's not that best of adab and ihtiram that can be observed for Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was inquired regarding this title of Amirul Mu'mineen, can we give it to Imam al-Asr? Says, no, you cannot. That is exclusively for Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. No one else. So here when the name is mentioned, we should be careful how we address him. It should be Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. Now in this job assignment, or the appointment letter that he gives to Malik Ashtar, importance is to Salat. And Salat, Jihad, Shahadat, many have been tortured and many were killed just because of this Salat. Zuhair, he stood in front of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein until Imam, he completed his prayers. So he gave away his life to save Salat, to protect Salat. Or for example, in Iran, in Iraq, in Pakistan, we have Shuhada Mihrab. Shuhada Mihrab like Ayatollah Ashrafi Isfahani in Iran, Dastghaib, Saduqi, Madani, Qazi Tabatabai. And then we have in Iraq, we have Shaheed Ayatollah Baqir Sadr, and in Pakistan, Shaheed Arif Hussaini. All these are the servants of Amir al-Mu'mineen, who are also the Shuhada Mihrab, who gave away their life, who were killed in the Mihrab of worship. So that Salat is great. For that Salat, they gave away their life. For that Salat, Amir al-Mu'mineen stood. For that Salat, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Ashhadu annaka qad aqamta as-salat, that you established prayers. Abandoning Salat, it is equal to hell. And in the Akhirah, there will be many conversations also between those to whom the inmates of the hell and the inmates of the heaven, they will communicate with one another. Now, those to whom the heaven will be assigned, they will come and ask them to whom the hell is given, that that is what made you get into the hell. They would say that lam naku minal musallin, that is we we did not offer prayers. Lam naku minal musallin, we were not among those who established and offered prayers. So Salat, prayers, it is that master key to acceptance of all the worships. And if you were stopped and pulled over by the police, for example, and the police says to you, can I see your driver's license? And you don't have the driver's license, you say, yeah, I've got my medical card, I've got my passport, I've got this, I've got that. Whatever document with the biggest of pictures and signatures on that you show to the police, he will not accept any one of them. He says, I want the driver's license. Says just like that, in the Akhirah also, the document that Allah wants as acceptance of Amal is prayers, is Salat, without which nothing will be accepted. If someone has put aside Salat, does not have Salat and prayers in his life, then no matter what he presents, nothing will help him. So Salat, it has been the first advice and also the last wasiyat of the A'immah of Ma'asumeen. Like for example, Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam, the reporter, he says that I went to condole upon the shahadat of Imam as-Sadiq to his family. And Hamida, she comes, she's the wife of Imam Sadiq. She comes there and I went to condole her. She says to me that I wish you were here when Imam was on his deathbed. He says that what happened, please tell me. She says that Imam was on his deathbed. He called for all of his family members to come to congregate around him. All of us, we came, we got together around the Imam. His eyes were closed. He opened his eyes. One sentence he said, La tanalu shafa'atuna mustakhifan bis salat. That our shafa'at is not for him who takes prayers easy. So when we are talking about this discipline towards prayers and offering prayers, on-time prayers, quality prayers, good prayers, so there is some reason, some hikmat behind it. And that is that wasiyyat, that last word of the ma'asumeen. That is all the emphasis, all the effort of the ma'asumeen. In Quran also that ayah says that, the ayah says that aqamus salat. That is, if an opportunity is given to them in this dunya, funds are given to them, some ability is given to someone, the first thing these mu'mineen, they do, aqamus salat. They establish prayers, centers are built, masjids are built. A place is built so that people, they come and they congregate, they get together to offer their prayers. So Salat, it is that first advice and it is that last wasiyah. And also Salat is a means to be tested. If you want to check how much and what rank a person has before Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, see and how he reacts at the times of adhan, at the time of prayers. See how he reacts. Some of these noble, when it is time for adhan, you look at them, it's such beautiful that they've got someone who is lost and they want to get connected to him. That noor that is engulfed from their faces at the time of salat, it's beyond description. That is that height of love they have towards worship, towards bonding with Allah, and at that time of salat. If the salat protects you from sins and corruptions, means salat it is worthy. Many a times we do see that our prayers being offered at the same time, there is so much of filth and there is so much of mess in the lives. Says salat, a prayer should be such that tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. That salat, it should stop that evil, stop the munkar, stop the indecency that it is in our life. If that indecency is not being stopped, means that the salat is not that strong or that good, that is not being able to put away this corruption that is around. So the first question that will be inquired in the akhirah is salat. That appointment also, Imam says to Malik Ashtar, salat. Best of times of yours should be for salat. When here in this world, in this duty, before fast and zakat and hajj and khums, then in the akhirah should be the first question. That is salat. Now this salat that we offer, it is for the remembrance of God. Aqimis salata li-zikri. That is, you establish prayers, you keep up prayers li-zikri, to remember me. It is that zikr of Allah, tabarak wa ta'ala. That zikr could be with your tongue, with your heart, in a special way, by the entire body, in the form of salat, from head to toe, that you are drowned in His remembrance, that you have to be within that format, and you cannot get out of that status until you have concluded with that salat. That is that best of zikr. With Allahu Akbar, you start. For 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, you are drowned and you are engaged in that zikr and remembrance of God. Your tongue, it is supplicating, your body, it is supplicating. That zikr, it's that all complete zikr that we have in our prayers, that the entire body is connected and remembering Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Aqimis salata li-dhikri. That is, you keep up prayer for my zikr, for my remembrance. Now it is Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, the rank that he holds before Rasulullah, and all these beautiful statements that are there for him. Says there is no one in that khutbah Ghadir, he says, Ansarukum li, most helping it was you, Ali. Most deserving, it is you, Ali. Nearest to me, it is you, Ali. Most honorable, it is you, Ali. Most dignified, it is you, Ali. Says that by God, He the Almighty, and I am happy with Him, that is with Ali. Whosoever is bonded with Ali, I am with him. And then the ayat that we have in Quran, like the radiyallahu anhum wa radu an, that Allah is happy, is pleased, is content with them, and He also is content with him, says that is for Ali. And says that all of these statements are there. Whenever in Quran you say, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, O you who believe, says the first applicable of that is Ali. That is first applicable, who accepted, who embraced, who acknowledged the risalat of Rasulullah is Ali. So when you say Amirul Mu'mineen, that is, he is the chief of all the Mu'mineen. When Allah addresses the Mu'mineen in such form that Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, means first applicable of that is Ali alayhi salam. So all this lauding and praising that we have in Quran, he who deserves the most, it's Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. Says that revealed for the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam also, and the best of his blessings have been mentioned here in this surah, that is Surah Al-Insan, and nowhere else it has been repeated as such. وَلَا شَهِدَ اللَّهُ فِي الْجَنَّةِ في هل أتى على الإنسان إلا له. All of those blessings that you see in Surah Al-Insan, they are for Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. Now all this was mentioned to come to this punch point. There is an ayah in Quran which says, وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. وَاسْتَعِينُوا means you get help. بِالصَّبْرِ with patience. You get help from patience. Was-salat and prayers. So how do you get help from patience and from salat? Now when we look into the teachings of Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, Imam says regarding the Prophet, or even for himself it's the same, that إِذَا حَالَهُ أَمْرٌ فَزَعَ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. Whenever there was some tough task, or there was a difficult situation, or there was a need, he used to come to prayers, that he used to come and get help from prayers. So getting help from prayers is understood. Sabr is patience. Now when we look into the sayings of Ma'asumeen, Sabr means fasting. Salat means salat. Sabr is fasting, salat is prayers. So Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, when they were in need, they wanted help, they sought help from salat and from fasting. In the Surah Hal Ata, when Imam Hassan and Hussein were ill, and they wanted the well-being and the shafa of Imam Hassan and Hussein, they vowed to fast. 3 days of fasting. So that's worship. That is istainu bis sabr, getting help from fasting. Salat is prayers. Riwayat say sabr is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. And also salat is Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. So fasting is easy. You can fast easily. There's nothing to worry. May the days be long or short, doesn't matter. A person can fast. Prayers, they are difficult. Salat is tough. It will be a few minutes. But then coming towards salat becomes difficult at some point. You can fast for a whole day, nothing there. But salat will be difficult. Quran says the same it is إلا على الخاشعين, that إنها لكبيرة إلا على الخاشعين, that salat, it is big, it is difficult, it is tough, but those for who fear. Being with Rasulullah was easy. Being with Amirul Mu'mineen is difficult. When you look back into history, even today, not too far away, we don't need to, this Wahhabi lot, it's all the problems they have is with Amirul Mu'mineen, is with the Ahlul Bayt, the family of Amirul Mu'mineen. With the Prophet, they are okay. Okay meaning that not that okay, but it's okay. But compared to Amirul Mu'mineen, it's difficult. Being with the Prophet is easy. Being with Amirul Mu'mineen is difficult. Quran says, get help from fast, get help from prayers, get help from Amirul Mu'mineen, get help from Rasulullah. And this is what we see in du'as, in du'a Faraj. Ya Muhammadu Ya Ali, Ya Aliyu Ya Muhammad. اكفياني فإنكما كافيان وانصراني فإنكما ناصران. That is, Ya Muhammad, Ya Ali, help. The Quran says the same, that Ista'inu, get help from Sabr and from Salat. Get help from Rasulullah and from Ali. When we say Ya Muhammad, Ya Ali, it's exactly the interpretation of the same ayat of Quran educated to us by the Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam. So a little bit about Amir al-Mu'mineen and Salat, and importance of Salat was mentioned. Now, because it's the day of Imam alayhi salam, one more incident I'd like to mention here, and that how beautiful Amir al-Mu'mineen pays back. There he says that on 3 occasions I am definitely going to be with you. One at the moment of your death, on the Sirat, and at the point of Muqasama, distribution of the hell and the heaven, I will be there. And the reporter Haris, he says that when I saw Amir al-Mu'mineen and he gave me this good news, and after meeting the Imam, When I was returning from his home, I said to him, Ya Ali, see you at the point of death, at the moment of death, because it's the promise of Amir al-Mu'mineen that I will be with you, with the Shias. I will not leave you alone. I will not abandon you. That is the word of the master of Amir al-Mu'mineen. One of the Maraja al-Taqleed who passed away in 1998 is Ayatollah al-Uzma Mar'ashi Najafi. Those of you who've been to Qom in those days, you must have definitely offered your prayers behind him in the Haram. All of the 5 prayers were led by him for about 50 years. Since he moved to Qom until he died, all the 5 prayers he used to conduct and lead in the Haram of Hazrat Ma'suma Salamullahi alayha. A very noble person, very noble, lived for about 90 years. A Marja Taqleed as well. He says that I had a wish, I had a tawassul, and I had a tawassul that I wanted to see the best of men. These wishes they had that I wanted to see, to find out who is among the awliya of Allah. There are some prayers for that, some du'as for that, and even in these observances that we have in this month of Rajab, there is a prayer. If you offer that before you die, you would see your station, your rank, your position that Allah is going to give you in the heaven. You will come to know before we depart from this dunya, if you offer that prayers. So we do have such du'as and observances. He says, I wanted to see who is the best of men, the awliyaullah in this day and age that I'm living in. And I had a tawassul to fulfill that hajat of mine. I used to go to Masjid Sahla, Kufa, and all those worships I did. Says, I saw in my dream that I am in Masjid Kufa, sitting in one of the corners of Masjid Kufa, and Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam is also present in that majlis. And Imam said to everyone, I want to see the poets of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they be brought here from among the Arabs. All of these best of Arab poets were brought to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. And then he says, the instructions were given to Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najafi. And then he says, I want to see the best of the Farsi poets. He says that what came to my mind was Muhtasham and these some other poets. I introduced them and they were brought to the presence of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salam. Imam says, and where is our Shahriyar? Ayatollah Marashi says, I don't know who Shahriyar is. I never heard of him. And then he says that Imam's presence, Shahriyar was brought, and Shahriyar comes. And Imam says to him, recite your poem that you have written for me. He recites the poem, and it is this famous one you must have definitely heard. And they have made many videos and clips and songs in different tunes and very nice. It is Aliye Humoy Rahmat Tuche Ayati Khudara Ke Bima Seva Fikandi Hame Saye Humara. دل اگر خدا شناسی همه در رخ علی بین به علی شناختم من به خدا قسم خدا را. A very beautiful, a very nice poem, a qasida he wrote, a very long one. Says that Shahriyar was brought into the presence of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He recited that qasida. And Ayatollah al-Uzma Mar'ashi Najafi, he says that I never heard him. I never heard his name. Now, when he woke up, he asks his men in the office that, is there any poet named Shahriyar? Do you know any? They say, yes, there is one in Tabriz. There is one. He says that invite him to my office. I want to see him. They invite Shahriyar to Ayatollah al-Uzma Mar'ashi Najafi. He says when he comes, I saw him. He's exactly the same person that I saw in my dreams, who was reciting that beautiful qasida in the presence of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. He says to Shahriyar that you have said a poem for Amir al-Mu'mineen recently. It starts Ali ay Humoy Rahmat. He was stunned, he was shaken at this. He says that, how do you know? I said this poem just recently. No one ever knows. I haven't said that to anyone. It hasn't been published. It's with me and my God and no the third person who knows it. But how did you come to know? Ayatullah Marashi Najafi says, this is what I saw in I had a tawassul to see the best of men. And I see that I'm in Masjid Kufa. Amirul Mu'mineen is present. He wanted to see all the best of the poets from the Arabs. They were brought forth from the Fars and they were brought forth. But then he said, where is our Shahriyar? You were brought to his presence and you recited this qasida. He was shocked at seeing and hearing whatever was being told to him. Says, when was this? Says, it was exactly the same day that he had this vision. It's the same time when he was writing the last lines of that beautiful poetry. That is Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, and the Ahlul Bayt. They never keep anything pending for anyone. Now, this is in the form of a poem. Any service to any one of the followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, in whatever form, in whatever format, may that be for those living today, may that be for those who have passed away, may that be for those who are coming in future, any kind of service to any one of the adherents of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, it is bought at a lavish price by the Ahlul Bayt, by the Almighty God, paid back by them also here and in the hereafter. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala never ever come across a moment of separation between us, Quran, and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Ya Allah, this mahabbat, this bond that we have with Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam, never ever be seized away from us. May that be here in Barzakh or in Qiyamah. Ya Allah, our children, they be enlisted among the best of the lovers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Ya Allah, all those who have departed from our loved ones, from our relatives, from our friends, and Allah, make them the guest of Amirul Mu'mineen this hour, and the best of bestowals and ranks and positions be given to every one of them. Bi'aliyin, bi'aliyin, bi'ali. All those who are ill and ailing, Allah grant them shifa. Whatever hajat all of you may be having, Allah fulfill those hajat, grant those wishes. Bi'aliyin, bi'aliyin, bi'ali. The first and the foremost wish that we have is the return of our Imam, our Master, our Hujjah, and that Allah counts and enlists us among the best of His servants and those who seek shahadat in His service. وعجل في فرجه مولانا صاحب الزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
Thank you, Maulana, for such an amazing lecture. I learn so greatly from you. We all learn so great from you every single week. So, Mu'mineen, we are going to start the Q&A session now. So just a reminder, if you have any questions for Maulana, any questions at all, please post them in the YouTube link in the comment section so we may ask Maulana, or you could text my number at 214-600-6953. So, Maulana, we already have one question that I had from last week that someone texted into me, if I may go, sir.
Yeah, Bismillah.
So the question was, if there is paint or ink on any part or on the parts of the body that are required for wudu, what is the ruling on such that would they have to be removed, or if it's bigger than a certain amount, like bigger than the fingertip or smaller than the fingertip, is there any ruling on such
paint
or like an ink that is on the fingers or face?
If it is ink, and ink, it is one of these dissolvable inks like fountain pen inks, that kind of an ink which is not a hindrance between the skin and the water, that is okay. You can have that little ink on your fingers and your face and still have the wuzu done. But if it is something like a paint, like a ballpoint ink, or the nail paint or nail varnish. So that is going to make the wuzu faulty. So that has to be removed first, and then the wuzu has to be done. Now, the next question you will have is about these halal nail paints and the breathable nail paints. That halal nail paint is nothing. It is the same thing, which is a paint. And I've tried it myself. I've seen it, and it is a paint. It is a paint on the skin. What it breathes, and when you have it on you, it cannot. It's a hindrance between the skin and the nail and the water. So that halal nail paint is also not halal, and wuzu will be batil with that. So you have to get it removed. So, and the amount also, there is no specific size. Even if it's as little as a pin drop, you have to get it removed.
Perfect. Thank you, Maulana, for that answer. And that would have been my follow-up question, or the follow-up question that most people would want to know. And thank you for that answer. We have another question. And the question is what is the ruling on tattoos when it comes to being a barrier between the wudu of the skin? What is the ruling based of the maraja?
Yeah, well, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, tattoo, first of all, it is not a hindrance, it is not a barrier. But when people they ask me about the tattoo, I say it's not permitted. You may question and cross-question the Maraja about the tattoos, and you may get an answer, but that is cheating and misleading them, deceiving them in a way. Someone who wants to have tattoos on him, it is understood that with those tattoos, there are all those accessories that will come with the tattoos. There is that special attire that will come with the tattoo. If he wants to have a tattoo on his arm, definitely he doesn't want to hide it. He wants to wear something that his flesh is seen. And then so when you look into all the filth that is in this tattoo industry, so it's not allowed.
Perfect. And is that the same for henna, which is, or mehndi?
Yeah, no, the question over here is different. Now, tattoo is something else, henna is something else. Henna, the wuzu will be, you can still perform wuzu with the henna when you have it on your skin. The wuzu is going to be valid, it's going to be sahih. And then no one does that henna for what tattoos are being done for. Henna will be for weddings and all that. When that is okay, but then when someone wants to have it and wants namahram to see, that's something else. That's secondary issue that others looking at it. But then no, tattoo is something else, henna is something else.
So based off the accessory of what it's related to,
Yeah.
henna is not related to such bad things as a tattoo and that culture is related to.
Is it? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, don't go for tattoos. That's the answer.
Perfect. There was a question that was an add-on to the previous question. And it was, what if there is hair color that got stuck onto a person's hand or nails?
Hair color is fine. Hair color, it's not a paint. It is not a hindrance between the skin and the water. So if there is hair color on your hands, that's fine. Now, hair color, when it can be on the hair and it's allowed, then doesn't matter if it's on the hand also. It's a hair color. It's not a hair paint.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Maulana, for those answers. Let me see if I have received any other answers in the chat. I see none. So I will go with one of the saved questions that I have. So I wanted to go back to the question that we had a couple of weeks ago about reciting Surah Al-Ham twice. And you said that you would look it up a little bit and see what is the ruling. So I wanted to ask if there was any answer on that.
Yes, someone who doesn't know any other surah, the ruling that we have, La salata illa bi fatihatil kitab. That is, if someone doesn't recite any surahs or doesn't recite Suratul Fatiha, that salat is incomplete. It is like non-salat, no salat at all. So if someone knows one surah, that is Suratul Hamd, Suratul Fatiha, for example, these mustahab prayers, you just do the Fatiha and your salat will be fine with just the one surah. Now, for the wajib prayers like Zohr, he doesn't know any other surah. He just knows one surah. So he can recite that one surah just once. If he wants, he can do it twice. The ruling, as far as I remember, that once is also going to be sufficient, is going to be kafi. So if you want, you can do it twice, one for the first surah and one for the second, but the one is going to be sufficient. Because in the mustahab prayers also we've got the same ruling that if someone wants to do just the one surah, and that one surah would be Suratul Fatiha, Suratul Hamd.
Perfect. Thank you, Maulana, so much for that answer.
Thank you.
That gives explanation to the question. And if anyone was looking back at the lectures and seeing what was the ruling, now they know the answer. That is the ruling. There is another question that I have saved. Or there's a question that I just got texted in. The question is there any amal for tomorrow, and what does the amal consist of?
For tomorrow?
Mhm.
Yeah, tomorrow it's the heavy dose. Yeah, so tomorrow the amal, there are quite a lot. You have to fast, and then there's a ghusl also, and then from the after your Asr prayers, there are a lot of amal to be observed. Some du'as, prayers are there, a lot of recitation of Quran, azkar are there to be recited. Yes, it's a heavy dose for tomorrow.
And is it just a long amal, or is there any like short condensed version, like specific ones that you have to do, and then the long amal section?
Well, the total amount of time you would need for tomorrow if you were to sit and do the amal, it's about between 2 and 3 hours. 2 and 3 hours.
That's not bad. That's pretty short.
Yeah, it's pretty. But a lot of recitation to be done, and a lot of Quran is there to be recited. It's easy also, and a little bit of concentration, and you can do it.
Perfect. Thank you, Maulana, for that answer.
Thank you.
So I got an addition to that question is, can someone make that amal shorter than it needs to be? That is the question that I received via text.
Why are Americans always after drive-through amal?
Fast amal, fast food amal.
Yeah, fast food and drive-through. No, do the little, whatever you can do it. It's good. Start with the amal as much as you can do. Your intentions, they count, they matter. As much as you can do it. One of the things that you can really do it is the Salat Ja'far Tayyar. Offer it. We don't have so many prayers tomorrow. It's just a little bit. But the starting of the amal, they are not very difficult. The du'as also, the audio is of that is present. You can play that audio and follow it from the books. Do whatever you can. What Allah is, He is the one. Ya man yaqbalul qalila. Yeah, He accepts the little that is done for Him, and He pays a large and a lavish reward for that little.
Thank you, Maulana, for that beautiful answer. And Momineen, just to remind you, we will be ending the session in 5 minutes. We usually take up so much time for Maulana. We took up a lot of time last week when I was reviewing it. So we have 5 more minutes with Maulana. If you have any question at all, please post them in the comment section on the YouTube link, or you can send me a text. We will, inshallah, be ending the session at 9:42. So while we are waiting, Maulana, I have a saved question. The question is, what is the ruling on yawning during Salat? So because a person can yawn, and then within that yawn, accidentally a sound comes out, and which can cause interruption in the tartib or mawalat of Salat. So is there any ruling on that yawn?
Yeah. Well, there is a hadith al-Qudsi. Now, the fiqhi answer to that, it's the namaz, it's valid. So the salat is still, it will continue, it is valid. There is a hadith al-Qudsi, and that is when Rasulullah, he ascends to the heavens in the Mi'raj. And there is an education that takes place between, that Allah, he teaches the Prophet. He says to Rasulullah that Ajibtu min abdin dakhala fi salat wa huwa ya'lam quddama man huwa wa huwa yan'as. That is, Ahmad, I am amazed when I see a servant. He has stood before me in worship, in prayers. He knows before who he is standing. He yawns. He yawns. So that is that disrespect being shown to the Almighty God, that I'm standing in His presence and I'm yawning away. That is that height of disrespect. In another Hadith al-Qudsi, he says that, does he not fear this person who has come to me, standing before me, worshipping me, and yawning away? If I want, I can change him into a donkey. That is that height of disrespect that is being shown to the presence of the Almighty God. That a person, now sometimes, yeah, a person, he is sleepy, he is sluggish, he is not feeling well, he is ill, or it's in the status would be such that he yawns away, that's fine. But someone who knowingly creates a situation that he is always yawning in prayer, that's bad. That is showing disrespect to the existence of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that answer, Maulana. I found that I'm also guilty of that. So I should increase my concentration towards namaz, that does not happen, or that my body is going to feel like it needs to turn on. So thank you so much. Momeen, we have room for one more question. All my safe questions are up. Okay. So the last question for tonight that we just now received is, can we use a highlighter or a pen to mark in the Quran?
Yes, you can, as long as it is not a disrespect, that's fine. Many times people, they want to make notes, they want to highlight, that's fine. You can write.
Perfect. That was a quick answer. Thank you so much, Maulana. Is there any other questions that we have before we let Maulana go? We have 1 more minute left in the session.
Yeah, I have one question, and that is, you have given your phone number to everyone, not to me. So you can send me that number. I can have it sometime. I need to get in touch with you.
Yes, I could do that. I will send that in our personal Zoom chat.
Thank you. Okay. وسبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولمن وجب له حق علينا ولمن وصانا بالدعاء ولجميع أمة محمد وآل محمد لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل
على محمد وآل محمد.
وإياك نستعين.
Thank you so much, Maulana. On behalf of the Islamic Center of Oman, myself and our whole community, I'd like to thank you for constantly giving us so much information and guiding us to help evolve our salat and better our ibadat and so many great lengths and so many great levels. So thank you so much.
التماس.
Iltimas dua.
Thank you.
Khuda hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.